I promised I would do a breakdown of the APLD stock, which has been really big in the news right now. So, gonna cover that today. I mean, today's dropped down about 5%, but the other days it was booming. There's been some really important news which we'll get onto later on in the video. Starting off, we can see CoreWeave and Palantir and APLD itself are all getting meme stock comparisons. And if you watch my previous video on everything CoreWeave brings in the partnership that CoreWeave and APLD have, Palantir is also one of my personal favourite stocks, which I've held for about 2 years now, all the way since it was $8. Maybe I'll cover that in a future video saying, is it still worth it in 2025? Next, this is a bit about what APLD do. So they're a data hosting center based in Dallas, and really what they do is they build big computer centers which can be used for hosting AI with GPUs, which is why APLD has been involved with nvdia recently. And it can also be used for mining Bitcoin through the GPUs. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Bitcoin mining. Now we move on to the financials. So for the past 4 or 5 years, we can see that revenue has increased year on year, alongside cost of revenue. I mean, profit margins are very narrow. See, 17 million gross profit for 2024. Basic EPS, we're still in a negative and still increasingly negative, which is understandable for a tech stock like APLD. Right now, they're using all their money that they raise from the sales of their shares to buy more and more data centers to grow revenue further. So they're not really focused on making a profit at this point. So we're investing in the long-term picture. Now if we have a look at quarterly, the last quarter was a bit lower revenue, but gross profit decreased as well. EPS is a bit more towards a positive, which is what we're looking for. However, it's not really that important for a company like APLD at this stage when they're trying to spend all their revenue on growing the business further. Balance sheet. We can see total assets are increasing, so that goes towards what I was saying earlier. Are they investing all their money into more data centers to grow revenue further in the future? Total capitalization has gone up, so they own more properties. This one is a San Tomas center. What also is really interesting, we can see they're issuing more and more shares since 2022. And if we look quarterly, we'll see in the next quarter this will be increased by a lot, considering the recent news and all the hype that's been going around APLD at the moment. Cash flow, they don't have much cash. Like I said earlier, they're spending all their cash to invest further. The thing to understand is that data centers are a really saturated business model in this day and age. I mean, nvdia do it through companies like APLD, Microsoft do it. Don't know if you heard about Microsoft putting a data center underwater for extra cooling. So all these big tech companies are looking towards data centers. This is the future. It's what hosts the AI's power. The AI's power does not come from your computer. It comes from the graphics card, which need a data center. They need APLD. Now going on to Reddit, we can have a look at this guy's post. Shout out to the end of Reddit. He does a nice little breakdown of APLD. You can see they have a new Ellendale facility, expanding from 250 megawatt current availability to 400 megawatts. And they have 600 more megawatts to add to that campus alone. So we can see they're exponentially growing with how much of a service they can provide as a data center to these big AI companies such as nvdia. We can see the investor on Twitter has done this. We can see the APLD just linked a 7 billion 15-year AI center deal with nvdia, backed by CoreWeave. CoreWeave is going crazy right now as well, and that's the hype circling around this. Finally, looking at the charts, we can see this big hype that came in the past couple of weeks. Massive growth. It has dropped down a little bit past the lines of resistance, so we probably will be able to get in at a lower price. It dropped 5% today, so that's quite big, but It'll probably end up coming to around here. You can see my moving average line. Once that cuts that, that's when you're meant to sell. So it'll probably sit around there, and we can buy in round about here for the next movement of hype. Because as I see it, APLD is not going anywhere recently. Everyone needs it. Palantir needs it. Even if there's a war, Palantir will have that demand. nvdia will have that demand, because we will use data centers in the war. So all things concluded, I think APLD is a really good buy right now, and I think it's something all investors should consider doing. My price target for APLD for the next year to come is probably around about $18, if not higher. Obviously there'll be market fluctuations, whatever tariffs come on. It's a tech stock, so it doesn't really get affected by tariffs, but it's about how many people are investing. I also think the price of APLD could even do a Palantir, go up at 100% this year to, or maybe like to $80. It has that kind of potential, it has that growth kind of potential. And finally, before we leave, I just wanted to point out the CoreWeave stock and how that's doing right now. As you can see, it's flying. CoreWeave and APLD are in the same boat. They have the same circulation around nvdia. So if you want to pick up some APLD stock, I'd recommend picking up some CoreWeave as well, because you can diversify your portfolio from the same deal. I mean, we can see CoreWeave also dropped 5% today after the hype. Thank you for watching this video, and let me know what stock you would like me to cover next.